Well, hello. It's me, Garrett. And I am back for another edition of what I do, which is just yelling at you. I did not mean to rhyme, but I suppose it is at that time. What has been new, what has been different, what has been amazing? Nothing. But I have had some fun hijinks and ridiculousness happening over the past little while. Considering that it's like the end of September, I'm looking back on things that have happened to me previously. That's what reminiscing really is, if you think about it. For example, I went to Mod Night on the end of August with Derek and Richard, and suited up, decked out, had my gangster hat and everything. I spent a good amount of money on that thing. I fucking deserve to use it every so often, although I find it makes my head look a little small because it's fucking huge. I should have went for a size a little smaller, I suppose. But then again, a man of my stature should not wear constantly smaller clothes to try to make himself look bigger. Or try to make, yes, yeah, I suppose that's. Hey, anything that detracts from this is an improvement, I think. So we were out at Mod Night, and we were sitting around having a couple of drinks, and I look over, just observing the crowd and everyone around, and I noticed this blonde and this redhead sitting over a table, somewhat adjacent to us. I mentioned to the boys, I'm like, hey guys, those girls look extremely bored. And they looked over, and the girls, they were sitting across from the table from each other, but they're staring off into space, trying not to make eye contact or trying to stimulate any sort of conversation. It was as though it was not necessarily an inconvenience to them. They're just so bored. The concept of talking to this person across from the table to me would be almost the equivalent of just fucking curling up and dying. And so I brought this to the guy's attention because, it's something that you notice when you're out at a club, not necessarily a club. The Common is not a club. Although, I have to admit, well, I could probably still make Mod Night if I managed to stagger to the LRT over in Belvedere. But that's for a later story. So, Derek's like, you want to go talk to him? And, of course, being the emasculated individual I am, especially when Derek is the proprietor of trying to approach women, I'm like, no. And so he's like, yeah, we should go talk to him. I'm like, no, I'm all right. And, they eventually moved out to the patio, and Derek's like, you want to go sit on the patio? I'm like, why do I want to sit on the... Well, actually, I didn't want to argue, but I wanted to argue just because it was Derek bringing up the point. I'm like, why do I want to go on the patio? Although I'm wearing a full-out fucking suit with a hat. I'm fucking sweating my bag off. I'm practically near death from heat exhaustion. And I'm like, sure, whatever. We'll go sit on the deck next to the girls I mentioned were bored as shit. Although I suppose it would be a highlight of their evening to encounter a man like Richard because he's a cute German guy. And Derek. Me, of course, I'm just some fucking schlub in a suit that fucking bunch of people pull monkey in. I don't really care. And so, we get out there on the patio. We're having a couple of drinks. We're talking. Richard's like, oh, I want to go dancing. I want to go dancing. That's not really how Richard sounds, but that's my German accent. That's how I make fun of them. Because I all want to talk about Bavarian sausage in Germany, and the chocolate is so good. Go a little too high-pitched. But, so, we're like, okay, fine. Richard, we'll go dancing. I take a little glimpse behind to see if the blonde and the red hair are still there. And they're completely gone. I'm like, well, what the fuck are we doing out here? And they're like, oh, it's cool. I'm like, I know it's cool. I'm enjoying it, actually. And so we wandered out on the dance floor. And we're like fucking 2 feet off the DJ booth. And they're pumping out some awesome 50s music. That's a beautiful thing about Mod Night. You go out to Mod Night at the Common, and they're playing 50s music. Yeah. That's pretty much it. And a bit of alternative rock. And it's, I really enjoy it because I like 50s music. I like Buddy Holly. I really enjoy that era. It was a much simpler time, although I'd never want to live there because I would go insane without technology. But that's something entirely different. So we're dancing. Well, I'm moving in a gyrating manner nearby the dance floor or the DJ booth, and I look to my right, and whom do I see? Is the blonde and the redhead. And so, fucking, I notice, and of course, Derek notices, and he's like, dude, you should make a move. I'm like, no, it's alright. I really don't care. And he provokes me like 2 or 3 more times. He's like, man, you gotta make a move now. Dude, it's like gonna be last call. You gotta make a move. You gotta do something now. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes, just to shut him up. I thought to myself, if the next song sucks, I'll do something. And so the next song came along, and it sucked. I don't remember what it was, but it was just shit. And I'm like, well, fuck it. That was the ultimatum I made, so I'm going to stick with it. So I fucking lean into the redhead, and I'm like, can I buy you a drink? And she's like, no. I'm like, and so without even fucking flinching, I go from the redhead, I go to her blonde friend, I'm like, can I buy you a drink? Yeah, I'm looking at the blonde, of course. And she's like, sure, why not? And I'm like, what will you have? And as I said that, the high point of the song came on. She's like, I'll have a blah, 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 blah. What? A blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then she starts talking to her redheaded friend. She's like, what? Pop. I'm like, what? And she's like, pop. And she's yelling to her redhead friend. I'm like, and her redhead friend is like, no, I'm okay. And so I have no clue what drink this girl wants. And she's trying to pawn more drinks out of me to her friend who just completely does not want to acknowledge me making a move to, start a conversation. And so all of a sudden I kind of panic. I'm like, I get this thought in the back of my head. It's like, we gotta go. And so I'm like, you ladies have a good night. And I back off the dance floor. So awkwardly, like that. By the way, the first time you probably see my legs, made you think I did these pantless. And so I back up the dance floor, and fucking Richard and Derek follow me, and they're like, oh, we gotta hear about this. I'm like, I'm out. And they're like, what? And I left. Gone. Out of there. Staggered to the LRT station nearby, fucking got on the train, rode that back to Clairview, actually, because I was with Derek, I'm pretty sure, when we got on, everything like that. So, rode back there, got my car, and left. As soon as I got home, of course. Oh, actually, no. I was on the LRT, and it goes through this underground tunnel section, which loses complete cell phone reception. So, as soon as we got above ground, I got a bunch of messages, and I read the messages. It's like, dude, why'd you leave? Those girls were wondering where you went. And Rich was like, oh, God, you should not have left. The girls, they're asking about you. They feel really bad that you left because of them. There was a complete misunderstanding. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. I kind of care, but, it's like that episode of How I Met Your Mother. I'm not trying to live vicariously through a television show like some people I know that have fucking nothing else to grasp onto. Derek. I was trying to be nonchalant there, but I kind of really failed. And so, it comes down to when Ted met the cupcake girl. I don't remember her name. It's been a while since I've watched the show. I really enjoyed it, though. I look forward to season 9. But when he met the girl, and they didn't want to trade names, they didn't want to have any sort of long-lasting interaction. They just wanted to hold on to the experience, the magic, the mystique of that night. And that's something that I kind of like the concept. I really enjoy that, but it leaves you alone at the end of the night.